We welcome you in to the Small Ball Podcast. Scott Ayers alongside Christian Dennis and Trevor Mikulin. And on today's show, a lot of trade rumors, I should say. But we'll start with the big one that kind of shook us to our core a little bit. Bradley Beal, of course, is now a Phoenix Sun.
Insane. I was not expecting this at all. I didn't have Bradley Beal, you're a Phoenix Sun, on my bingo card for the summer.
No.
So the fact that the Phoenix Suns pulled this off, kind of a little bit of a head scratcher, but at the same time, it's kind of sick.
Yeah, it hurts us little guys, small markets, because if you remember, Phoenix, very big market. We actually don't stand with the Suns, we stand with the Wizards.
Nope.
But the Wizards might be in the top 3 of most embarrassing small market teams right now.
Yeah, the Wizards are up there. For Phoenix, this is, again, I mean, it's a head scratcher. KD, it feels like we're like seeing what happened in Brooklyn all over
100%.
You have 2 superstars next to Kevin Durant. And, you know, Booker obviously is not like a James Harden or Kyrie where he has a ton of like off the court issues. So maybe this will be better. It's going to be super interesting. It's wild that they were able to hold on to DeAndre Ayton. And in my opinion, they hold on to him and roll out with those 4 and just fill with a bunch of vet mins.
Yeah,
that's what I think they should do.
That's kind of what I was hearing as well. Roll with Ayton. It will. The rest of the roster construction will be very interesting. Obviously, offensively, you've got so much firepower between those 3. But yeah, we've literally seen this tape before with Kevin Durant, not just with other people trying to be super teams. With Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, with Kyrie Irving, who's one of the best guards of our generation, and James Harden, who is also one of the best shooters of our generation.
Yeah.
And I know foot on the line, what would have happened? Guess what? They still lost those games. They still lost their series. They never had true success. We'll see if it's different in Phoenix. I don't know.
I got 2 things to say. Phoenix will be a destination for free agents this offseason. So it's going to be like the guys that want to win a ring. They have like a few years left in their careers. They're going to be heading to Phoenix on the vet min, and they'll be okay with that. And they're going to be scary. But here's the thing. You could look at what Denver did, and they didn't have the super team, but they had a really solid team. And they were far and beyond better than the Lakers. And I think the Lakers you could look at as a super team, which sounds crazy, but they have 2 of the best top 5 players in the NBA on their roster. And you know what? I see the Suns in that light, and they're beatable.
They're beatable.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think that this like thought process of a super team like doesn't actually work in the grand scheme of things.
It's really hard for it to work.
Yeah, that's probably better to say. I mean, because it has worked in the past,
Yeah.
but it's not like super teams are winning every single year. You look at the Nuggets, and then you even look at the Warriors from the past, like 2 years ago. Like, these are 2 teams that have been playing together for a really long time. So there's that chemistry. They've already gelled together. They know the culture. They know what to expect from each other. Whereas the Suns, they're going to try to figure it out. They got a new coach.
Yeah.
They got, literally majority of their roster is going to be brand new.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be like 3 to 4 players that have played with each other. So it's like that's where you can see a lot of struggle happen.
On top of that, too, you can look at the 2008 Boston Celtics. That's definitely a super team with those stars coming together, the big 3. But the thing is they played so well off each other, and their play styles was super, super compatible.
Did they win that first year, though?
Yeah, in 2008, they won the first year. And
didn't win again, though.
But they didn't win again. They made another finals. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals for like the next 3 years, I believe. But with that, it's because they can play well off each other. With this, it just feels like you're throwing together a bunch of 30-point-per-game guys and expecting to win a championship. Yeah. I don't think that'll work.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do facilitating. Obviously, Booker played guard those last couple of games. And there's a question to be had, and he's still Kevin Durant. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's still going to be Kevin Durant. But at times in that series versus Denver and having to play 43 minutes a night, we saw a very, very mortal side of Kevin Durant. We got one really good game in that Denver series. We got a lot of highly inefficient games bailed out by the whistle. That's a question moving forward. On top of that, Bradley Beal, who was in the prime of his career, he still is. He doesn't know how to stay healthy for 82 games. And Christian, I know you've had the notion like, well, some of that is on Washington, right? But some of that is also on Bradley Beal sat out in the early or middle parts of a season because he just kept getting hurt. So that's going to be a question moving forward because if one of those guys goes out, now who's filling in? Is it Torrey Craig has to start 20 games and now your bench is even thinner? I don't know. That's where when people are saying they're predicted to win the West right now, like Kendrick Perkins already said that, how? We don't even know what their roster is. You can't say that yet.
And I think people are always quick to assume and quick to a jump when a team acquires a player that automatically makes them better. But it's like that's not necessarily the case. Again, like we don't even know what the Suns roster looks like. You know, day one, let's say they trade Ayton, right? Let's just throw that out there. We really have no idea what this team is going to look like. So how can you say they have a chance to be like NBA championship right now when we have no idea what the product looks like on the
field? Yeah, it's 4 guys. That's all we know. I really want to quickly touch on Washington because how they handled Bradley Beal and that whole tenure is about as bad as it gets for sports as a whole. They pick a terrible contract. They pick a terrible no-trade clause. Rather than just dealing him a couple years ago, accept the tank, accept the rebuild. They try to make this work, and it's blown up in their face to the best thing they got were pick swaps. Not like unprotected draft picks. Pick swaps. That's it. I mean, it's just so horribly managed by Washington. And now they're going to tank for who knows how long, Andy.
Yeah, okay. I really think that this topic needs to be studied by like a university. We need a 30 for 30 because they did the same thing with John Wall. John Wall had a ridiculously overpaid contract. You know, hey, well, you know what? Let him get his money.
Yerpy.
Not doubting that at all. But like, this is a team that continues to overpay players that don't exactly like way above what they're expected. And the exact year that they get paid, they just start drifting apart. Yeah. You start to see a huge regression with the players that they sign. It's just like, what is going on?
You can't really tell the future with John Wall. Like John Wall at the time deserved that. And then he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But like I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but a lot of people weren't expecting that high of a number. You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like, whoa. Like,
did they ever get out of the first round, Beal and Wall?
They went to the second round with the Celtics. They went to Game 7. It was like one of the best series.
With Marcin Gortat.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
That was one player where it's like, this guy should not be a basketball player. Like, looks-wise, he did not look like a basketball.
But just an absolute menace in the paint. He's a dog. But yeah, it's just Kuzma's gone. Now you've just got Porzingis and Corey Kispert and Monte Morris. It's going to be a miserable season for Washington, but that's good. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Enjoy your 7 wins that you'll have next year.
I mean, the thing with the Wizards is like, because of Bradley Beal's deal and their lack of performance, their GM gets fired, which was the smart move. The 2 guys that are coming in, Winger and Dawkins, that are kind of running the ship in Washington, are guys that stem from Oklahoma City. And so what we're seeing here is they picked a decision. They picked a route that we're going to go. They're like, we're either tanking or we're going to try to be a playoff team. And they decided we're full on tanking. So let's get Bradley Beal out of here as quickly as we can. And so when you look at the return of Bradley Beal, you think, oh, the Suns just absolutely robbed the Wizards. Like, this is terrible. Like, why would the Wizards do that? And looking at the no trade clause from Bradley, he had the full control in this trade.
Yep.
You know, the Wizards had their hands tied. They couldn't really trade,
wanted.
him to wherever they wanted to get like picks and young players. So they really had the choice of the Phoenix Suns and quote unquote Miami Heat. And so getting Chris Paul back, you can imagine the Wizards are going to try to flip Chris Paul now. So it's kind of like a double-sided move. They probably were like, what's a package that we could get and then potentially flip to try to get something else? You know, Chris Paul still has some value. I mean, the Clippers are interested, Lakers are interested, teams like that, to where, you know, maybe they can try to snag a younger guy like a Bones Highland from the Clippers. You know, like try to get like that and maybe some second-round picks or something like that. And Morris from the Clippers is like frustrated with his role, so then get him out of here to kind of match the salary of Chris Paul, and then, you know, you have something there. Whereas like the Bradley Beal return, you weren't going to get anything to begin with, so you might as well get the best return to flip.
Right. And now you have a direction. Tank like crazy. You can't tank for Victor, but you can tank for whoever the next big prospect is. So, just wanted to touch on Washington. We love you guys, small market family, but you need to do better. You're like the dog that just peed on the carpet for the 4th time. You're going outside for an hour. We'll bring you back in.
Yeah, that's good.
But let's look at another small market team, the Portland Trailblazers. And Portland, we talked about it last year. This year, even more so, very interesting position. And what do they do with that top 5 pick to try and build around Dame and be a championship contender?
Man, this is going to take like a decade. You know, they probably should have started doing this like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Because they've poorly constructed teams to build around Dame. There's that one year they make it to the Western Conference Finals, but let's be honest, they shouldn't have been there that year. There's no reason for them to be there. And because they did that, they gave like the front office like false hope. They're like, "See, Dame, look what we did." You know, like
they lost in 4. They won Game 7 against Denver and then got swept by Golden State.
Yeah, so it's like maybe your team wasn't that good, but they just kept riding that high. There's not a lot that I think Portland can do this offseason to make them quote unquote contenders for this year. But there is some interesting things out there. You know, if they have the 3rd pick, they have Anthony Simons, Nurkic, they have some trade pieces. And with all the turmoil in New Orleans, maybe Zion could be on the move.
Ooh.
Which, like, if you look at it, you can offer that 3rd pick and Nurkic some cap fillers, you know, trying to, you know, hopefully get Zion for fairly cheap. But I'm curious of what you guys think. Like, would Zion on the Blazers be enough to move the needle to keep Dame there and then also make them a contender?
If Zion Williamson is healthy, 100%, absolutely, yes. They are immediately contenders if he's healthy, and Damian Lillard would have a legitimate running mate, which he has never had in his career. That's right, CJ.
Yeah, ooh, shout out CJ. And yeah, I think Zion moves the needle. It just depends on the rest of the West, which is, I think, the hard position that Portland is in. Because if you trade Nurkic now, all right, well, who are we filling at the center position? If you trade Anthony, all right, well, let's get someone at the 2. Zion is definitely, like, you need that kind of running mate, though. You need that kind of 1-2 punch. But I don't know. I don't know if Portland can do anything that will get them into that same tier as the top teams in the West. I just don't know if
and I feel like anything
this season
they try to do, it's going to cost them more than what they want to give up. You know, it's not like you can just trade the 3rd pick for Zion and get Zion. That's not how things work. You know?
Right.
There's got to be some money exchange with players and stuff like that. It would be super interesting to see Zion next to Dame because, like you guys said, he's never had like a legitimate running mate, and he's never had a running mate that was like a big.
Yeah.
It's always been like an
guard.
undersized guard.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going. I have a trade idea for Portland that I think they get back a package that will boost them into contender and you would look at the roster and think, okay, this is legit. Because they'd be getting a big, and Dame has never played with a legitimate big because we all know Nurkic is a fraud.
Pretender.
So here's the trade. The trade would be with Minnesota, and I think that this one makes more sense for both teams because giving up Zion for a pick, I feel like the Pelicans are trying to win now, but who knows? Anyways, that's beside the point. Here's the deal. Minnesota gives up Cat, okay? And Minnesota gives up Jaden McDaniels, a really good 3-and-D player. And in return, Portland would give up Anthony Simons in the 3rd pick. So what Minnesota gets is a running mate for Anthony Edwards, a guy that's not going to take the ball out of his hand per se like a Cat would, and it gives them another young player, possibly a Scoot Henderson or a Brandon Miller. So, and that gets them younger as well, which they need because they gave up all their picks to get Rudy Gobert. So for Minnesota, this is kind of it's slightly a build around Anthony Edwards and also let's get a solid like 2 young players in return for a guy that's, entering his prime in his prime Cat. And for Portland, I think that Damian Lillard, like you said, has never played with a legitimate big. They've tried the wings, they tried to put him alongside other guards. It hasn't worked. Damian Lillard, if he were to play with the big, could potentially unlock something in him and success for a team, which he has had success, but never contender level success. So with Cat, I think that would be a fresh start for him because coming in, I mean, there were GM polls at one point in Cat's career where he was the most desirable player above a Giannis, above a LeBron, KD, legit. And I think that he just needs a fresh start. Cat is a all NBA level talent. Offensively, that dude is a stud. We've seen what he can do. But yes, I get it. He's had his off the court antics recently, coming out with some stupid quotes.
Bad.
But yeah, I like that team. You'd have Dame, you'd still have Jeremy Grant, you'd have Cat, and you'd have Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah. Cat would be that pick and roll would be nuts because you could just pick and pop.
Pick and pop.
You would pick and pop,
dude.
Cat, he's a cheese ball. He's a cornball.
He is.
His inconsistencies, and maybe when you have Dame, that helps, but he's also had Anthony Edwards. His inconsistencies just hurt me. Like, in that Denver series, those first couple games, he was shooting, I think it was like under 30%.
He's performed so poorly in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's his biggest gripe, right? Because he offensively is an awesome talent. But it would definitely be, and the key piece you mentioned, well, not key, but getting McDaniels, having a wing defender like that, you need an elite wing defender to be competitive and to be in that upper echelon.
Yeah. And they'd have him and Matisse.
Matisse. Yeah. Matisse's offense is just, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like me shooting a basketball.
I like the idea of Cat being in Portland or just Cat in one just being traded.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm hung up on is I don't think Minnesota would trade McDaniels. I don't think they have any desire to do that. They really like him. And then
he's young too.
He's the type of player that everyone wants.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'10" with a 7-something wingspan and can guard any position. And then he's just young and developing. So that's where I'm I don't know about that. But Cat for sure. And then I don't know. I would almost elect to see Portland moving, the 3rd pick, and maybe trying to. I know this doesn't make any sense, but Nurkic or and going to acquire a guy like Pascal Siakam, or getting a player that's very switchable, and then also has good defensive, because that's another thing. It's if you have Dame, you have defensive liabilities, and Pascal Siakam is a great defender, and then you sign Jeremy Grant and you sign Matisse Thybulle, and it's you guys have at least a solid defensive nucleus forming there, and then kind of build around that and see what that can be.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't hate the idea of Cat in Portland.
I also think Cat would perform a lot better as a number 2 rather than being a number 1.
Yeah.
I think that it would take the pressure off his shoulders in the bright lights like a playoffs, and he'd be able to kind of ride Dame and show up when he needs to.
And that's maybe where a change of scenery helps, because in that last playoff series, guy was not a number one.
Do you think
he's
like
not fit to be a
Minnesota
number
like
one.
views him as the number one?
I don't think anymore.
I don't think it after this last series because Ant turned up at the end.
Yeah.
And I think heading into that, I would say Cat is the guy. But after the series, like you guys said, I think he's
after this season.
I think they're trading him. I think they need to.
I agree.
I think they need to move on as well.
Yeah, and give Ant the keys. I think that trade does it for him.
Ant deserves the keys. He deserves the car. He deserves the family.
He deserves everything.
He deserves everything because you build around Ant, and you actually can see a path to being a championship contender.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't see that with Cat.
Yeah.
It's got to be Ant's team. I like both those trades, and I like the idea. Portland getting a big, someone big, not an undersized guard. Dame is the second greatest shooter ever behind Steph. Like,
right.
You have offense. Yeah. Get someone big who can provide offense and defense. Is kind of the name of the game there.
Yep.
So, I'm still in the camp really quick of I don't know what you can do. I don't know when he starts to regress. But moving on, Charlotte Hornets. They're one other. Well, there's a few, but they are really that last small market team where it's like, where do you go?
They're sitting with a second pick.
They've got the number 2 pick. They're talking about taking Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson because they trust their guy Terry Rozier. But can they make moves with that number 2 pick that makes that a competitive roster? Or do you make moves, you use the 2 pick, and you just start a nice slow rebuild? I don't know.
I think that there are a lot of trades out there and players that you could put with a LaMelo Ball that are on his timeline, not getting a rookie, which I think drafting Scoot would be great for this franchise, personally. But if they'd elect not to go that route, there are options out there. I mean, if we're looking at the rumors, the Pelicans have been rumored to be trading Zion and Brandon Ingram. So Zion's potentially going to be moved before Thursday. But if they want to trade Brandon Ingram as well, I've seen his name out there a ton. And Brandon Ingram for the number 2, I think is a deal that you can do. You can also try to get Herb. You can look at, if you feel like Charlotte needs to give up more, they have James Bouknight, Kai Jones. They have first-round draft picks they could trade in the future. But I think that could be a potential deal for Charlotte if they don't want to draft Scoot and they want to get a guy that's already established like a Brandon Ingram.
If I'm Charlotte, I'm drafting Scoot Henderson. I'm not even thinking about Brandon Miller. I don't think that
I agree.
They need to draft a guy like Brandon Miller because LaMelo Ball is the type of player that his play style, he could essentially play with anyone. He's very unselfish. He doesn't need to score 40 points a night. He's going to be more around that triple dub, maybe with like 20 points or something. Great catch and shoot shooter. That's why I think Scoot Henderson is a great running mate with him. And if it's not, let's say they almost follow the blueprint of what the Kings did. We had Tyrese and we had De'Aaron. And then, we ended up trading Tyrese and got Sabonis. And then look what that did to our franchise.
Agree.
So that's why I think you always draft best available and then try to figure it out.
Especially when you have a top 3 pick in a draft that is so loaded at the top. Mm-hmm. And we have heard about Scoot as long as we've really heard about Victor. And we knew Scoot he's not a 1B, but he's a number 2 that could be a first round, number 1 overall in a lot of draft classes.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have 8 guards on your roster. You need to look at Scoot and say, you have a higher, his upside compared to Terry Rozier is night and day. Like, you should look at Terry Rozier as if he is a cheese sandwich.
And the thing is Terry Rozier would get you a good return
yes.
if you put him on the trade market.
I don't know if he would.
Trade Rozier for some role player.
Rozier's making like 18
capital.
mil.
Yeah, his contract isn't great. But don't overthink it. Sometimes we overthink things because we care so much about how it'll actually fit. Don't overthink it when you have a potential generational talent of a point guard.
I hear you.
He's also being mentored by like Steph Curry. Like
that's true.
there's guys around the league, like elite guys that like see the potential in Scoot and is like, yeah, I'll mentor you.
Would you rather have $500,000 be mentored by Steph Curry? Like that?
I like that. I'd rather have $500,000.
Yeah, I would too.
my stage of my career? I don't know.
So if they do elect to draft Scoot, I think that's a good move for them. But you mentioned going down the Kings route, trading for a guy like Domantas Sabonis. He was at the time a 2-time All-Star. Yeah. Brandon Ingram's a 1-time All-Star, and I see that as a very similar move to this. And I think that right now the East is wide open. The East sucks straight up. All the stars are leaving the East. It's you know what? Charlotte can run it with LaMelo and, try to pair him up with a guy like Brandon Ingram and maybe sneak into the Eastern Conference Finals.
I would rather get Zion than Brandon Ingram. And I think if you have a second round or the second overall
he's going
pick,
to Portland, though.
Oh, he is going to Portland.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. That I feel like Zion is a more valuable and a better talent. I know his off-court habits right now aren't the greatest.
So you'd rather have Zion over Brandon Ingram if you're a GM?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you also?
Zion. Yeah.
I would. I think like with what we've seen on the court with Zion, I think you'd still take that risk.
I love Zion. Yeah, All-Star in his first year.
And when he played like earlier this year, he was like MVP caliber player.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe it's something within the Pelicans organization that's like maybe their medical staff is good. Maybe Zion just doesn't want to be there. And I think Zion's from like North Carolina. So it's like it'd be cool to see him go home,
Yeah. I think I would rather have Brandon Ingram, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, over Zion. Yes.
Both have health issues.
But Brandon Ingram's health issues compared to Zion's are very different. Zion's is like career possibly, like it's scary because he's huge.
Wasn't Brandon Ingram dealing with like a foot injury?
Yeah.
It was his toe. It was his toe.
Most like trickiest like injuries to be dealing with.
Yeah.
Both I think are more comparable when it comes to their health than because we talked about before the season last year. Andy, I know you got something, so I want you to share here in a second. We talked about how New Orleans was going to be great with Zion and Brandon Ingram.
That's right.
They didn't make the playoffs because neither of those guys played enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Like neither of them did enough. And that's why the Pelicans now are like, where are we?
That's true.
And CJ didn't step up, but those two especially.
It's tough because they were number one in the West when they were healthy.
Yeah.
Dude, they were. And it was health. Scott, you're 100% right.
Andy?
No, I was going to say that Ingram over Zion take is going to be one of those that we're going to have to flash back to. Yeah.
I agree.
All right. And I'm going to look good when we flash back to it because Brandon Ingram's a really good player. I think he's undervalued, especially here in this room.
I like Brandon Ingram. I'm a BI guy, but
you're a BI guy?
I'm not taking Zion. I'm not taking Brandon Ingram over Zion.
Yeah, I'm concerned with Zion's health, and I know you guys are going to clap back with the Brandon Ingram's not healthy either. They're very different from what I've seen. And I really like both guys. I just think I like Brandon Ingram a lot.
Needs to stop being. He needs to get his mind out of the gutter.
Yeah,
he needs to stop chatting to all these ladies.
Yeah. That's true.
And you go to a new organization, they say, "Give me your phone." I put a new lock on there. You can only use it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Get him Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes on that on his phone.
Get Covenant Eyes on that phone, and now you're looking at a 8-time, 9-time All-Star.
What's holding Zion back is lust.
He's lustful. Dude, keep those pants on, man. Wear a chastity belt.
I mean, it's kind of similar to like Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was he loves food, as you can tell now.
Yeah.
But as soon as he got healthy, he stopped eating all this junk food.
Yeah.
He's like one of the greatest power forwards to play the game.
Yeah.
Zion belt is a chastity belt away from being top 5 in the NBA.
That's right.
All he needs to do is get that belt on. Zion, get the belt on, and you're a superstar. So, yeah, Zion, get better, man. We're thinking about you. You're a small market legend.
Yeah. I'll pay for your Covenant Eyes membership.
Yeah, literally. What we need to do, Covenant Eyes sponsors the show. We give 3. We get
Could you imagine instead of like the Smoothie King Arena, it's the Covenant Eyes Arena? All the Wi-Fi's have the blockers, so like
No one can do anything.
You can't look at anything in that arena. Gosh, that's
good.
awesome. Well, some of these crypto arenas are going out, like in Miami and in LA.
What do you mean?
Like these cryptocurrencies are going out of business.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So it's like instead of crypto arena, it's Covenant Eyes Arena.
Covenant Eyes, step on in.
Come
Buy
on
an arena.
in. Let's guard some hearts, baby.
Yeah, that's good.
Remember when Miami almost was like the Bang Bros Arena?
Oh my gosh.
Let's New Orleans. Let's step up and let's go against the lust of the world.
Yeah,
let's
that's
go.
good.
This is good. This is good. Any other trades? Any other trades that
I got one.
make you feel
Make me feel what?
Happy inside?
yeah, happy.
You were going to say lustful?
There's been a lot of rumors around OG. A lot of teams want him
Yep.
as they should. I mean,
Every team should want OG.
he was big at the trade deadline, and people are still talking about him.
He's still big.
he's big.
Yeah, he's big. There's a 3-team deal that I saw on Twitter that was the Raptors, Pacers, and Mavs. So OG would be traded to Indiana, who is wanting to get a small forward. And in return, they would trade the number 7 pick and multiple firsts to Toronto. And then for money reasons, we would be sending Buddy Hield to the Mavericks. What are your guys' thoughts? Realistic? Not realistic? Who says yes? Who says no?
I think that's realistic. The Buddy Hield offloading just allows OG to come into Indiana.
Yep.
Is Dallas giving anything up?
Probably a second round.
I would
pick or
imagine they
Some
throw in
seconds.
like some picks or something to like Toronto.
nothing major because
Nothing crazy.
Buddy Hield's what it is it's a salary dump basically, so that they can get OG on their payroll.
Yeah.
I think that's a great trade for Indiana. That is a
Yeah.
great trade for Indiana.
I actually even like it for Dallas. I know we're not necessarily the highest on Buddy, but he still provides more than whatever Dallas had at the end of last season.
Oh my gosh, he's one of the best 3-point shooters in our league. Like we
100%.
can't ignore that.
Of our generation, he's going to be at the top.
Yeah, he has
in
so
modern
many
day NBA.
records, all this stuff, and then you put him on a team with Luka
Yeah.
and Kyrie. Can you imagine Luka just like dribbling like crazy and then throw some insane behind the back
To
over
Buddy.
the head to Buddy Hield in the corner?
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I
their
like
floor
that.
spacing, if coached properly, would be Christian Wood at center.
No, they're not bringing him back.
They're not bringing him back. All right, so they'll have no floor spacing at the center position probably. But Dwight Powell. You can.
Well,
Maybe you could fit Miles Turner into that.
I mean, I've also seen rumors with the Mavericks, just to throw this one in
please.
there, where it's the 10th pick and Davis Bertans to Atlanta for Clint Capella in the 15th pick.
I've seen that one a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love the value on Bertans.
Another salary dump
Yeah.
sort of situation, but
Clint Capella, he's still an elite rim defender.
he would pick and roll with Luka.
Yeah. Yeah,
be
just
insane.
it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Another guy coming from the east to west.
and Kyrie too.
Yeah,
So,
and Kyrie, yeah.
If he
See, that's
resigns.
what sucks. It's always the West is getting better.
Yeah. Here's the thing with that trade, not the Clint one. Back to your original trade. Why does Toronto do this? Because I saw a report today that they're reluctant to trade OG.
I don't think they will trade OG, but if they decide to pick a direction, they're one of those teams in the NBA where they need to
Dude.
pick a direction. Are we tanking or are we trying to build something? Because on paper, you would think their roster is good with Siakam, OG, Scotty Barnes. And now the fact that Nick Nurse is gone and they bring in their new coach who has been known for developing players, they might try to go more of a rebuild route, build around Scotty, who, Trevor, you think is a generational talent.
I think he's going to be top 10 in the league one day.
Yeah, so wouldn't you want to build around him now as opposed to just getting some like the 10th seeded team every year?
I think OG's a great player to have now if they're trying to build around him. He's a younger guy under contract that fits right next to Scotty. I don't think that they need to be urgent to trade him. The guys on their roster that I would be urgent to trade are Pascal, Fred VanVleet, those kind of guys.
Which Fred, unrestricted free agent.
That's right.
Wichita State legend. But he's gone. Just had to throw that in there.
It's good. I wonder if he because he only had 1 year left. It was a player option. I wonder if he opted out so that he could re-sign with the Raptors, just like what Draymond's going to do.
I hate when players do that.
It's so stupid.
No, like, give me some, like, I'm opting out because I want to leave.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really. They are in just a weird no man's land that we have for a couple of teams in the NBA. Washington was in that. They chose a direction.
It's good.
Which is good. That's where you want to be. And you have to decide. And Trevor, I think you said earlier, the East, not nearly as good as everyone has talked about.
No.
I understand the records we saw from Milwaukee and Boston, even Philly. They are beatable. All three of those teams, very beatable teams.
Yeah.
And we saw that in the playoffs. So if you're Toronto, if you think you can beat them, you've got to start making moves, though.
That's right. I want to see some of these Eastern Conference teams get aggressive and start getting these superstars like the West is.
Yeah.
Like,
It makes me so mad.
So I think like the Hornets, go get Brandon Ingram. Teams like that, go out there and make some moves, make things interesting in the East because it is wide open. I understand that you have the Boston and you have the 76ers, which I don't even think that the Sixers are that good, to be quite honest.
Since they're probably losing James Harden.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that James Harden, it's going to be wild, whatever he ends up doing.
Yeah.
That dude he's a rock. He is not smart. I'm sorry.
Well, and yeah, go ahead, Christian.
I was just gonna say I think he's just one of those guys that like doesn't love basketball.
Yeah.
He's just really good at it.
Tell you what he loves.
Do you know who needs Covenant Eyes?
Speaking of Covenant Eyes,
It's our second sponsor of the day. Bunch of plugs for Covenant Eyes.
James Harden needs Covenant Eyes.
He needs Covenant Eyes.
Houston, man.
Yeah, he'll be awesome in Houston. You want to talk about? Yeah, we don't need to go down that road. Covenant Eyes. Yeah. So yeah, Philly's. Let's say Philly's out now. It's Milwaukee and Boston. We just watched Milwaukee lose in the first round, and Boston did come back before losing in 7 to the 8th seed. The East is so open.
Yeah.
There's not that many superstars in the East.
Nope.
That's why like Boston and Milwaukee have great records though, because all these other teams are stupid average.
Yeah.
And so don't listen to the lie that like these teams in the East are so much better than West. It's not true. The West has loaded talent.
That's right.
The Minnesota Timberwolves would have run the East.
They would have, bro.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've always thought Minnesota should be in the East Coast.
Yeah.
Because, like,
They're close.
they're right next to, like, Milwaukee and, like, Chicago.
Dude, I would love to see Cat just give it to those guys in the East.
That'd be awesome.
Be awesome. Who would we trade though? Minnesota for who?
Give us Detroit.
Oh, you give us Detroit.
Aren't they even more East?
They are, but I mean, basically every team is going to be more East.
Yeah.
True.
So we're just trying to even the conferences.
Oh, wait. Why? So here's one that makes sense. Why is Memphis in the West?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Tennessee so far east.
That
That's
is true.
East.
That's actually a really
Guess
good point.
the University of Tennessee, the Southeastern Conference,
Yeah.
South and East.
Dang.
Wait, speaking of which, New Orleans is East.
New Orleans is pretty east.
New Orleans is
I feel
very
like-
East.
What's going on?
Yeah.
We're getting screwed.
Let's
in the
give
West.
them those two teams, and we'll take Detroit,
Yep.
No, let's bring on two new teams.
Yeah.
Sonics and
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Great.
And then those teams are probably going to be butt cheeks for a while since they're...
Well, what about the Omaha NATOs?
The
What about the Omaha NATOs?
call back to the Omaha NATOs.
Episode
Finally.
4.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Episode 4, we're like, damn it, what kind of brainstorming are we going to do? All right, everyone make a jersey. Think of a team.
Dude,
we'll
that
meet
was
on Monday.
awesome.
It was awesome.
Mine was the Hawaiian shaved ice.
Who are you,
Came up with
Christian?
expansion
I
teams.
actually wasn't here for that episode, but Andy filled in.
Andy
and
had a
he
good
said
one.
Mexico City.
Oh,
Yeah, the chupacabras.
nice.
Dude, so many options.
You would think Silver would listen to that episode that has like 20 views.
Yeah. What?
Adam, come on.
Dude,
Some
the
gold.
Omaha NATOs, orange, brown, and green.
Come on.
That was your colorway.
It's the color of the sky when you see a tornado. It's perfect.
That's scary.
It's scary.
Orange, brown, and, green.
And then in the arena, you just hear the.
Oh, it's time. Get on your feet, NATO fans.
That was awesome.
How is that so good? That was so
Dude,
accurate.
you know what's funny is I've never even been in an area where there's been a tornado.
It's wild.
So why
The
do I know
siren's
that
wild.
siren noise?
It worked
Yeah.
really well.
Wow.
But yeah, imagine it's like Davis Bertrand. Bertans.
Yeah.
He's starting because of the salary dump.
And now, at your starting power forward, Davis Bertans!
He's the face of the franchise. All the posters are him. Davis Bertans. And Raul NATO.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a concept art.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so we have our NATOs, we have our star player.
Yeah.
Christian, wait, you had a show sponsor for us? Did I hear that right? Well, I know we had Covenant Eyes.
Yeah.
Covenant Eyes, first sponsor of the show.
But we actually had a second sponsor of the show.
Yeah. So this segment is going to be sponsored by Phoenix Roofing and Remodeling. So for all your remodeling and roofing needs in Phoenix, reach out to them. You can call them or text them at 602-877-6455. That's 602-877-6455. Just ask for Mike. He's the big guy who can fix your roof.
Nice.
Wow, so he's the big man upstairs, so
Yeah.
to say.
So Mike texted me and he's like, hey, man, I have a segment idea for you.
Sure.
A lot of people are speculating that Victor Wembanyama is the best prospect to come to the NBA since LeBron.
Wow.
So with that,
Yep.
what does this year's number one pick, what kind of value does it hold?
From like a single player, essentially.
Yeah, so like who would you trade? Who's your cutoff? Like, yes, I'll trade Victor right now for so and so, or no, I won't. So I looked up a list of the top 10 players that are under 25 to start, and then just to throw it out to you guys, like, would you guys trade Victor for said person?
Mm-hmm.
So starting off, number one, would you guys trade the number one pick this year for Luka?
No.
Or I should say, would you trade Luka
Victor.
for the number one pick?
No.
No.
Okay. Would you trade Jason Tatum for this year's first round pick?
No.
No.
Okay.
So far, so good, guys. Way to hold
Would
the
you
line.
trade SGA for the number one pick this year?
No.
I might.
Yeah,
I think I would. I think if Victor is supposed to be as good as he is, I probably would make that trade.
Well, if you're a GM, that's the question. If you're a GM right now, would you do that and risk? That's risky because you don't even know. You haven't even seen him play NBA basketball.
I haven't.
You
seen
don't know
him
if
play
he's
yet.
healthy. You don't.
I
know.
don't know anything.
And you know SGA is a.
I know who SGA is. Yeah,
And they have Chet.
They do have. Oh, this is if I was OKC.
Yeah, I guess you would have to put yourself in the GM hat.
Oh, I'd probably have to say no because I have Chet. I have to believe in you, Chet.
All right, this one, you guys, I feel like may want to make this trade. Would you trade Ja Morant for Victor
Yes.
Wembanyama?
Yes. Certified no doubter, yes.
Probably not.
I
I think he's learned his lesson.
I don't even think it matters if he learns his lesson or not. The dude can just ball.
But he can get suspended again if he didn't learn his lesson, and probably,
Suspended for
longer.
a year. Yeah, that little slap. Oh, how many games did Ja get suspended?
25.
25 games?
Yeah,
Second offense?
I think the reason why they only did 25 is because
They don't wanna be
they suspended Miles Bridges for domestic abuse for like 31 games. So they couldn't go over that.
That's that.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm sorry, really quick side tangent. That's so embarrassing. Like,
That's
how
so dumb.
embarrassing of an association can you be? Domestic violence. Hey, man, we do not approve. This is disgusting.
Was that after he pleaded guilty? Did it ever go to court?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
No, he settled it.
It was settled. Yeah. But imagine it's like, this is a heinous act. We'll see you after the All-Star break.
So messed up, dude.
Golly.
Yeah, that's awful.
All right, this one, I think Scott will 100% make this trade. Trevor, I don't know about you.
Joel.
Would you trade Victor Wembanyama for Trae Young?
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, I would.
No.
Yeah, I think I'm with Trevor here, but more so because like I've never been willing to trade for a pick, because you already have a sure thing with Trae Young.
That's right.
And you don't know what could happen with Victor.
It's
don't.
true.
It's so up in the air.
I think I'm at the point of no return, though, where I'm probably saying yes from here on out.
Well, there are players that like I will. There's a cutoff. It's probably around the Donovan Mitchell level.
I would trade Donovan Mitchell. Sorry,
I would trade Donovan Mitchell as well for Victor. It's probably around that level that I would begin to do that.
Would you trade Tyrese Halliburton for
Yep.
Victor?
Yeah.
No. I view Tyrese Halliburton as
would
more
you,
valuable
Christian?
than Donovan.
I think I would trade Tyrese for Victor.
Yeah, I would.
I would not.
I mean, he's a point guard at 7-something feet tall. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. The thing is like
He's so good.
when you get into like Trae Young and you get into like Tyrese, like you get into like guys who are so gifted offensively, but like are terrible defense.
Tyrese is a good defender.
He's like subpar at best. Like he's not like a guy who's gonna lock down anyone, you know.
Okay.
Whereas
Agree to
Victor
disagree.
is gonna be like a shot blocker. Like you're always gonna have
That's right.
that defense.
Victor's going to be really good.
yeah. Gosh, it's
It's risky.
It's risky.
Zion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Health issues.
Yeah, I think like what's going to be more of a risk? Zion.
That's
Yeah.
right.
At
Isn't
this
that crazy?
At this point,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, we fixed him though.
If Zion gets covenantized, no.
No, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
You
We
have to write it in his
clarify that.
contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You must. Yeah, it's like Kyler Murray
Kyler
can't
Murray
play
style.
Call of Duty. Zion, you can't go on OnlyFans.
Would you trade De'Aaron Fox for Victor?
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would do it. Well, I mean, Sacramento's got a good thing going, and you completely dismantle that.
If I'm just thinking player for player, I would.
I would do Sabonis. I don't know if I would do Fox.
You would do Sabonis?
Yeah.
You
'Cause you're
think-
replacing
you think Victor can replace exactly what Sabonis
I
can
think
do?
he-
No, I don't.
I think
That
he-
would.
I think
Excel.
Victor is a different player to where like wherever Sabonis is weak, Victor is strong.
Oh,
So like Victor is a good outside shooter, and Victor
that.
is a good defender, whereas Sabonis is a good rebounder, and kind of
Facilitator.
facilitator.
lover.
Whereas Victor just like provides something else.
He's a great dad. Happy Father's Day.
Happy
Happy
Father's Day,
Father's Day.
Sabonis.
And to all the dads out there.
And to Jokic.
Yeah, happy Father's
Girl
Day
dad.
to Sabonis and Jokic.
All right,
And
just
no one else.
just two more, and then we'll kind of end it there. This one to me, I'm like 100%, but with his team, it's kind of interesting. Darius Garland.
Oh, I would make that trade. I'd ship Jared Allen for whatever, give me whatever back, and Victor starting at center, and Garland is gone in a heartbeat.
I would do that as well.
I love Garland and everything, but yeah, I think you take that trade.
You could find a point guard for Jarrett.
Yeah, you can find a guard for Jarrett.
Yeah.
Just talk about like that Cavs teams, like Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and then like Victor Wembanyama. It would be like insane.
Yeah, that'd be massive.
Okay, last one, and I hope we're all in agreement on this one. Anthony Edwards. Would you trade Anthony Edwards for Victor Wembanyama?
No. I say no.
Nah.
Anthony Edwards is
Scott?
him.
I really like Anthony Edwards. Who did I say no to? Who are the first two that I
Jason
said?
Tatum, Luka.
Do I think Anthony Edwards is in the Luka and Jason Tatum range?
Wow. Value-wise.
Value-wise.
Yeah.
That's where I'd have to value him at.
That's awesome.
And-
I mean, I would say in like maybe 3 years, you can expect him to
And
be at that
remember
level.
too, Anthony Edwards
How old is he?
21.
I probably wouldn't. He's so young, and he's already he was the alpha for Minnesota. He'll be the alpha moving forward. I don't think I would.
I would not.
Yeah, I would not trade Anthony Edwards. It's funny, it's almost like I kind of want to revisit this middle of the season and see what we think. Because what if Victor's
I think he's gonna have a hard time defending.
I think he'll start off slow. Big men always take time.
Yeah.
To get used to the league.
And NBA Twitter will be like, maybe he was a bust. It'll be 20 games in the year. It's come on, let's calm down. Oh. Wow, that's interesting. That's something we'll bring up once a week.
Here's the thing.
Here's a player.
I think Victor's really good. He's going to be really good. It's just and I think he's going to be really good. These other guys are already really good, and the risk just isn't worth the reward.
It's a risk, but
for some guys,
the reward, you're talking about LeBron James caliber.
That's right.
You could feed,
potentially.
Whoa. You could feed a city for
years,
centuries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, people are still feasting today from what LeBron did in Cleveland, right, Andy? Oh, he put his mic down.
Every day my family eats because of LeBron.
See, and LeBron hasn't been there in years. It's the beauty of it. So that's a great segment. What's the company called again? Arizona
Phoenix Roofing and Remodeling.
Phoenix Roof. We'll have to get them out here to mess with our shingles.
That's right.
Your shingles.
With our shingles. Yeah, Andy, you got one last thing?
Go Mike.
Go Mike.
Yeah, shout out to Mike.
Shout out Mike.
If you guys have any segments that you want us to talk about on the show, send them in. We might do it.
And it's sponsored. And these sponsorships are great because, we're not making any money from them.
That's right.
It's free advertisement.
Awesome. This is awesome.
This is awesome. This is small ball.
This is small ball, baby.
So to Covenant Eyes and to if you need to fix your roof, this has been a good show today, guys.
Yeah, this offseason is going to be really fun. It's going to be fun to cover with you guys. We're looking at names. We've mentioned a lot of these guys. Cat, Zion, potentially Dame, OG, Miles Turner, Brandon Ingram, Lavine, Kristaps Porzingis, Jaylen Brown. These are all names that could be moved this offseason, and we get to cover them. So make sure you guys tune in every week. We'll be talking through all of that all offseason long.
All offseason, and we're going to cover all small market teams, but we have some fun stuff down the way as well. Trevor's been brewing some. He's been going into the history books, and we are going to be covering some just interesting times, the NBA, and interesting moments for certain teams, which is going to be a lot of fun. We'll continue to build our small ball kingdom, and we're going to continue to have a lot of fun. So for the Small Ball Podcast, for our great producer, Andy, Trevor Micklin, and Christian Dennis, I'm Scott Harris. We say so long for now, and we will see you next week.
And with the first pick of the NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select